using history in this sense as a tiebreaker is not doing history. Thank you.
Well, I thank the speakers. As I see it, we have interesting clashes in which, if I understand Saul Cornell correctly, he is speaking only to the historical questions and not really to questions of interpretation. And his principal claim is that many of the methodological moves of the new originalism amount to bad history. I hear Helen as going to somewhat more fundamental questions, and is essentially saying that even if history is done well, even if it's done properly, that it should not be used in legal interpretation. And then I hear Keith Whittington giving a very sophisticated political theory grounding for originalism, and I think primarily of the new originalist model, although I'm not quite sure how much of the paper there distinguishes. It may be a bridge between old and new. And then I hear Michael Paulson speaking almost exclusively as a lawyer and not as a historian, and talking about why particular moves regarding history are necessary for the logic of judicial review and constitutionalism. So they seem to be talking about the same things, but in some ways we have four ships passing in the night. So what I would like to do is in particular ways to invite each of them to have some intercourse with the other ships as they're passing in the night. And so, in particular, let's begin with Saul Cornell. And I'm curious if history were done well. And by the way, I agreed with many of your critiques of new originalist methodology, and I particularly agreed with Helen Irving's comment that that to the extent that history should be done, that it ought to be understood as a form of contextual intellectual history, and I think that all too often, I think the linguistic move has been disturbing in that it does tend to take originalism away from the question of